Just to get in here. So who on the homework, I want just some feedback, just general before we dive into class. Who actually found the 5D process like pretty useful and like helped you make sense of the problem and break things apart and kind of guess check your way to it? Yeah? No. For any of them, when it like suggested using the 5D process, who found it like useful? Yeah? Who would rather not use the 5D process and use variables and things like that and just solve it using our algebra skills? I'm just curious. I'm just looking for some feedback. So I was having a conversation with Mr. Hall this morning about the fact that I'm now realizing, hey guys, there are some of us just sitting there. You know what you need to be doing right now. I'm killing time while you do that. So fill in your plan book, get out graph paper, head your graph paper, get ready for class. I'm just killing time until you get there. Mr. Hall and I were talking this morning, and I had made the realization that some of these strategies that I don't really think are very valuable is because I didn't have it to use when I was learning this stuff. So when I learned this, we were purely doing algebra. We were like purely doing it, and the class name was called algebra, and we would set up variables and coefficients and constants and things like that, and just have to solve it using algebra. Now you, fortunately, have the option, but today for a couple of these problems, I am going to request that we use the 5D process to keep honing in those skills and getting better at this. So, anyone want to read while we're still waiting just a tiny bit for more people? By the way, you can just title it using the 5D process. You don't need to say strategies. Or you could honestly just say like 5D process. Aiden, will bounce back to you since Skylar had it yesterday.
Math is used to solve challenging problems that apply to daily life. For example, how much friction?
Sorry, this will make it easier for you to see if it's highlighted. Sorry, right at the top corner.
Where should a city build transportation lines such as the city bus system and subways to reduce traffic on freeways? Mathematics can provide helpful insights for answers to these questions.
So I'm going to let you keep reading, but I want you to encourage you guys, start really observing your surroundings and think about those questions like, how did math help make this happen? Or like, what questions did people have to answer? Or like, what process did they have to go through? If I bring up the giant highway interchange of 270, 315, you guys know what I'm talking about? So a couple of years ago, Columbus identified a problem, or the city planners or whoever, with the highways that was really complicated, and for a long time people had thought we couldn't really make it any better. But over and over, people kept getting in car accidents. So they said well, we need to do something about this. So what can be done? And they devised this crazy highway interchange system that puts 3 layers of traffic. It involves tunnels, everything else. They did the same thing over here at 23, and a lot of you have probably driven through these tunnels. All of these problems were tackled using mathematical strategies. And some people solve it in one way, and some people solve it in a different way. But realize these are the things every day that you can be observing as you kind of go through your life. This interchange just blows me away. That how they designed it. So next time you're driving on 270 or up 315, and this is hard road. So right where 315 hits hard road, it's just before that. So if you want to get on 315 south, check this out. You're coming this way. You take an exit way back here, actually. You go under another road, through a tunnel, and then you loop around here to head down 315 south.
Whoa.
It was it's not right here happening to get on that road. It starts way back here. They had to start the process before the other exit. So just different strategies trying to tackle these problems. So again, today I'm going to encourage you to use a 5D process. And actually, I don't think we need to read the rest of that. Aiden, do you want to hit us with these questions?
As you work using the 5D process, consider the following questions. How can we describe the problem? How can we decide how to label the columns? How can we organize the columns? How can we decide which quantity to start with? Does it matter which one we choose? How can we decide which number to try first? At the end of this lesson, your team may be asked to present your
this. The first question is just going to go in your notes, but then I have a resource page. I will be asking for a group, and I'll probably just random card to be able to like give me their resource page, and we put it on the doc camera, and you guys explain what your thinking was. So we're going to go through one of these together. Then I'm going to hand out the resource page and have you guys go through one on your own. So, who what?
What's the doc camera?
Doc camera, just overhead camera thing. Just a camera for documents. No, doc. So here's our first situation. So in your notes, please put a 115. You're on 115. A scalene triangle is a triangle with 3 unequal sides, right? 3 different side lengths. The medium length is 7 centimeters longer than the short side. The longest side is twice the short side, and the total perimeter is 39. So I want you, as your group, to write down little expressions or sentences of the important information, set up at least 3 columns, but we're probably going to break up the define section based off the problem that we're doing, and then solve what's the short side, what's the medium side, and what's the long side. Take a couple minutes to do this on your own, and I'm going to start doing it up there. The next 2, you're totally doing on your own, and I'm going to hope that you guys can just show solutions, but we will solve this together. So start talking with your team. What's important? How do I set this up? Dive in. At a minimum, we should be writing down what's important. So the important things here, right? They tell us about the medium side. They tell us about the long side. And both of them reference which side?
The small side.
Yeah, they both reference the short side. So we might as well go ahead and define that our short side is going to be S. How many different things am I trying to define here? 3. A short, a medium, and a long side. So in your define section, we want to set up a short, a medium, and a long. Now for me, I then make a little note of like, okay, so medium is actually S plus 7. So somewhere I'm going to put that that's really S plus 7 for that column. And my long, I'm going to put that this is really 2S. And you could write that above or below where you have the M and the L. Any questions at this point? Then the other important thing, really we plant over here in the decide column, if this works, quote unquote, does what we want it to do, what will happen? Yeah, the perimeter will be 39. Our sum, when we add the short, medium, and long, will be 39. Go ahead and start guessing something for, well, which side should we really make a guess for here? Short, right? Because everything involves the short side. So, I don't know, try like 8 or 3 or 5 or 10. Like, try something for the short side, and then start figuring out what the other sides would be from that. my experiment or my trial, 8. Then if I add 7 to it, 15. It told us it was twice as long as the short side. So it's 2 times the L. Or sorry, 2 times the S. L, our long side, is 2 times the S. So if I made S 6, my L would be 12. If I made S 4, my L would be 8. Right? It's always twice the short side. But my middle, this gets weird now. If my medium length side comes out to be 11, and my long side comes out to be 8, does this make sense? No. So sometimes when we try something, it straight up does not make sense for our situation. This kind of breaks the rules of which is medium and which is long. So that short side would be too short. If I try 6, I get 6, 13, and 12. Well, that one doesn't work either. Because the long side isn't the longest. Anyone try like 10? 10's a nice number to start with a lot of times.
Yes, it's too big.
10 is too big. Right, so if we tried 10, we'd have 17 and 20. That would work for short, medium, and long, but it's too big. 8, well, what's 15 plus 16? 31, what's 31 plus 8? 39. So guys, I didn't know 8 was the answer. I haven't done this for a year. I don't look at the answers when I'm prepping for a lesson because, no offense, but this math is not hard for me because I've done it. I didn't know the answer was 8. But what I knew was we have 3 sides and they add up to less than 40. If I'm talking about the shortest side and I make it 10, and I know the long side's double that, I already have 30. So I just guessed something under 10 because I figured 10 was probably going to be too much. If you can't think through that in your head, just do it on here. Try 10. It doesn't work. It's too big. And I start to kind of have that knowledge base. Does that make sense of like how to pick the first one? So your task with the next 10 minutes that we have here is for your group to work through both of these situations that are on this resource page. So you don't even need your textbook because the situation is printed on here. So this is one time when I decided the resource page was important. I would keep this. Hey, give me your ears still for a second. I would keep this because especially as we get into the second semester, like our second half of the year, I occasionally do open notes assessments. And this would count as like notes. Anything we did in class or homework even often, I will say, whatever homework is still in your binder, you can use that too. So I would do 116 first, and then do 117, but that's kind of up to you. We're going to talk about 116 first when we start talking about these. I am going to zip it until 9:30. So you guys are on your own with your group. Any questions? Go for it.
It's basically adding, but minus instead of multiplication, it's subtraction. Okay, so describing the
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's 9 times 12. Both of our numbers are positive. That's about
Canadian, so I forgot to get some before class started.
Wait, that means that the film has pumpkin.
Somebody made it, and I think it brought to the meeting last night. You want to back up for later? Just like stick in your binder, your pencil pouch, something like that. Product is the result of multiplication. Product is the result of multiplication. Yeah. Oh yeah. Now, John was
What's a baby?
Can I see? You didn't really. You have a kind of a lack of the important information, like how Kevin jotted down, like that stuff. Hey guys, I would encourage you to use your highlighters or underline the important stuff in the problem setup. So where it tells you like the difference is 4, I would highlight that in one color. And where it says the product is 96, I would do that in another color. Just my advice. I would encourage you to highlight that important info.
What are my numbers? They have to be positive. So it can't be 9 times 8 because 9 is not positive.
Okay.
So I want to
I like it. I asked for first and second. I dig it. Natalie, you have full credit for that idea.
You have to do 8 times 12.
Yeah. You know, we'll go ahead and say this. The first group to accurately have both of these gets candy. We'll say that. First team to accurately have both of these. Now you need to check number 116 with me before you move on to 117.
Oh, Mr.
So,
Jenny remembers me 3 times.
multiply.
I see.
So that's what you don't even do a rate necessarily. You just kind of say those weren't right. So what we're saying is I call the two numbers like A and B. A times B is 96. A minus B, or B minus A, depends on which one's bigger, is. Look at quick. You know what the other two see? Here you go. Come on. Get 117. No, I'm joking. That was sarcasm. So yes, you do have to do it.
For real?
Did you check the email? Good work. Move on back.
It's just Tammy.
Oh my god.
All together. All together now. Well, because it says all together, the 5 players made 40, so that's just what's in my head. It's all together now. Everybody.
Okay, guys.
That doesn't make sense.
Oh my gosh, no guys, I tried 7, it doesn't work.
Then tried something else? Yes. Alright, so I believe every team at this point has this one solved, so we do not need to have somebody come up and show it. 116, the two numbers with a difference of 4 and a product of 96 were 12 and 8. So 117 seems where all of us are now. If I was you, I'd have all of this highlighted in different colors to activate my brain. And I would have things written down here that help me then fill in the table. I'll come to you in just a second, I promise. You're not the first. Who's down? Down from back here? We already Everyone has the same stuff. That one's good. So then, as you start to finish up the basketball problem, you'll need to go back into your textbook to move on to 118. So in your textbook, you want to move on to 118. We're going to see how many of these we can knock out. We got like 20 minutes left. As long as you have them lined up with the right people. Those are the right numbers. So move on 118 in your book. Gotta open your book. Careful, there's two J's up here. There's Jenny and there's Joan. Oh, there's like 5. Those are the right numbers. As long as they're assigned very equally, you're good. So move on to 118. Yeah, it's in your book. So 118, you're going to solve however you want to. 118, you're going to solve however you want to. 5D process or not. What player gets referenced the most? Give me your attention for a second. We're not going to talk answers, but give me your attention for just a second. Skylar?
Grace gets referenced the most.
Grace keeps getting referenced. So when we approach the 5D process, whatever value is getting referenced the most, the easiest way, I'm not saying right versus wrong, but the easiest way to approach this, pick that number, like guess that number first. So as you approach this, if I say Grace has 5, I can figure out everybody else's based off Grace, and Joan is this, or Tammy's the same as Joan, and Joan is up here. So T and J, like, they'll just be the same. So if I try 5, well then Jenny is 3 times that. Whoever the A person is. Alexis is 6 more than that. Joan is 4 less than that, and Tammy's the same. Is that enough?
No.
Too low. So keep going if you haven't solved this yet, and if you have, move on to 118.
Are we doing okay, so 118.
Is there a hand up back here?
Yeah, there was, but then I was making it on the
Good work, though. It's not rude. It's me sticking my word.
No, not you, Matt.
No, they're not rude. They work quickly and efficiently. Maybe the fact that they did 2 of them making it sound nice.
Well,
Sure. Yes. You don't want to now. Get it at 9:30 in the morning. You might want to later.
no candy tomorrow.
Well, let me know. You're in here a lot, so. Alrighty, friends. Let's pull it back together and finish this basketball problem so we can all move on to 118. Sky, even though your group wasn't first, I can feel that you guys are upset at me, so I will call on you. So, what's up?
Oh, okay. So, do I just tell you, like, what we got?
Sure, I mean, what'd you try? How'd you get there? Tell me whatever.
We tried 5, 7, and then 6, and we found out that 6 was the right answer.
So, wait, why'd you go from 5 to 7?
I don't know.
Hey, guys.
We
Your
just felt
classmates
like it.
So 5 was too small, right? So then they could have gone from 5 to 6 and just tried that one. Or if you want to kind of like not trying to figure out how to exactly say this. If you don't know that you're really close, you might as well make a bigger jump than just 1. So I like the idea that they went from 5 to 7, but then when 7 was too big, they essentially knew it had to be 6. So when you try 6, and I think a lot of our groups have gotten this now, if Grace has 6, Jenny has 18, Alexis has 12, and Joan and Tammy, or whatever her name was, Tammy, have 2. When we add those up, we do get 40. I'm going to give you, so everybody, even if you didn't get this on your own, everybody transition gears, flip in your textbook. You should have a Post-it in there, and if you don't, stick one in there. And if it needs moved, move it. But we are going to 118. Mr. P, Mr. E, Mr. R. Miss P, sorry.
No.
Be careful. Read carefully. How many people are we talking about here? 3. So the first section of our 5D table should get split into 3 columns. Now, who gets referenced? Mr. R, right? He gets referenced. So that's going to be what we plug in first. Then it doesn't really matter. You could do E or you could do P. Now, I like to, above them, jot myself a little reminder. And E is 2 times the R. And then, what are we testing? What are we testing? This is the thing we're told we have to test, right? The sum of their ages. But do we sum all of them? No. We only sum Mr. Richards and Mr. Edwards, but they need to equal 81. So we're testing this here. Really, this column's R plus E, but what we're looking for is does it equal 81? So then this column really is where we put the answer for does it equal 81. So this could just say R plus E above it. So try out some ages for Mr. Richards. Now, if Mr. Edwards is twice as old as Mr. Richards, and they add up to 81, do you think Mr. Richards is like 20?
No.
No, he's older or younger than that. He's probably older because we're calling him Mr. Richards. But between the two of them, they got to add up to 81. Do we have to what?
Do this whole thing when you solve these kind of problems?
No, but can you figure out a way to solve it otherwise? If you can figure out a more efficient way, you can take that route. Right now, this is what we're practicing because it makes sense. Like, is any of this confusing to you, or do you just not want to do it? What is confusing?
So, where are you getting the numbers for RAP? Like, there's Mr. Gazula, Mr. Edwards, and Mr. Edwards, and Mr.
We just guess. So I've said guess check a lot of times, but this is a guess check process. So if I guess if Mr. Richards is 25, right, that would make Mr. Edwards, who is 2 times Mr. Richards, 50. But 25 plus 50 does not make 81, so we're too low. Too low. So we gotta bump up. Adrian, you got a guess? So what? Give me Mr. Richards. Adrian said, forget bumping up by 1. I'm going to try to work a little smarter. I'm going to bump up by 2 and try 27. What does that make Mr. Edwards? 54. Test it. We don't care about Miss P in the test. We can go back and figure out her age. What's this add up to? 81. So this is right. So then, how old is Miss P? 30, which I am about to be in April. Any questions? That's not worth it, Ron. That's normally when people like, oh my gosh, my life, what am I doing? Which I'm kind of right there. Any questions? Hold up, I need your attention. So, Aiden had a question, and I pushed him for like, okay, what's your question? And then he read the problem again after having written some of it down. And then he was like, oh, never mind, I got it. If you think you have a question, sometimes you just need to go back and carefully read. Sometimes you need to highlight. Sometimes you need to underline. Sometimes you need to write some things down to help you make sense of it. We have 5 minutes left, and I believe we can get through the next problem. So dive into 119. See if you can solve that. I'll even offer another candy prize for the group that solves this one. You didn't deserve it. They got it. They were the first. No, you didn't. I checked them first. They just did it quietly.
Yes, they do.
This is always how that process should start. 3 columns. A guess, a check, a declare. Really, a decide, a do, and a yeah. But really, it's just guess some things, check some things, and then decide if it was right. Now, for this one, for your group to get candy, you have to be able to give me your work that I can show to everyone. You have 5 minutes. So is laughing at what I just offered helping you get better? No. All you're doing is wasting your time and trying to make a scene. I don't care if you laugh at my request. Some of you want to have your work shown to the class, and that makes me happy. I like turtles. Do you like turtles? I like turtles. My brother has a turtle that he had for like a decade and found out as a female.
Oh, wow.
Her name was Franklin. Now, how we call her Franklin?
Have you ever seen a show?
Oh, Frankie. What? There's only the Andy on my line.
You find joy in doing this, don't you?
I find joy in doing math. 4 more frogs and turtles. They tell me crayfish is 3 more than twice the turtles. How would I write that? Ava?
Oh.
3 more than twice the turtles.
So then you would do T times 3.
3 more than twice the turtles. What T? If it's twice the turtles,
T plus 2.
twice the turtles, right? 2 times. But then it's plus 3. You got to put it all. You said both pieces, but never together. 2 times the turtle, then we add 3, and that should be it. And in total, we got 54 turtles and crayfish. Do we care about the frogs? No, but that's what we're trying to answer. How many frogs? Now wait, the frogs determine. No wait, the turtles determine the frogs. Oh, so since turtles here and turtles here, we should probably start with turtle. Turtle, turtle. I was more so talking about that movie. With,
Yeah, it was like a master in disguise guy.
Yes.
I don't
He-
remember what it's called.
I think it's called Master of Disguise.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Anybody have it yet?
No.
Classes are changing. We're out of time.
No.
If you care enough to finish solving this, bring me your solution with your work. I will give you a piece of candy.
I got it.
Well, not right now. I got a class coming in later. Don't tell people. Keep it to yourself. If you care enough. Why aren't you setting up the 5D process with like columns that can help you organize? This is taking a boatload of paper. When you need to write, you need how many pages of paper to do this for class? Dude, that's not okay. I have a lot of graph paper, but you use 4 pieces of graph paper and a handout. That's too much, man. We gotta write cleaner, smaller. We just gotta start to kind of like grow it up a little bit, right? Like that would be okay in elementary school. We gotta clean it up. So wait, when I said that you want to have it, why didn't you raise your hand and say you have it? Okay, hold on. Show me what you got. How many frogs? 58 frogs? That does not make sense. Go back and try it again if you want.